Welcome to our science night. I'm Rebecca.
I'm Alexis.
And we are going to be doing an activity called Rainbow in a Glass. So what you'll need for this activity is food coloring. Thankfully we've already prepped everything for you guys today. But if you were going to be doing this at home, you would need food coloring, 5 plastic cups, water, sugar, spoons to stir, and a syringe. And that's all you would need for this activity. So first of all, how many of you guys have ever seen a rainbow? Oh my goodness. Okay, so some of you guys have seen a rainbow. Now I have a question. Are there multiple colors? Are there just one color? What do you guys think? That's right, there's multiple colors to a rainbow. So what we're going to be doing today, like I said, is we're going to be putting this rainbow into a glass and explaining how, while these are all made of the same materials, they have different thickness, each liquid does, so they're going to make layers. Do you guys know what layers are? Some of you guys might think of like layers with like a coat or what your clothes, like you might wear a shirt and then a jacket and then a scarf. So we're going to think about it the same way. It's like stacking. So we're going to make a rainbow in a glass today. And just to be safe, we always want to make sure we're wearing our goggles. I know all of you guys are wearing your goggles right now. Alexis and I are wearing our goggles. And we also want to make sure you guys know we're not going to put any of this stuff in our mouth. We're not going to put our hands in our mouth. All this is for the science experiment. So,
you guys also have markers and paper at your tables, and those will be used throughout the activity whenever we're asking you questions or to make observations or whatever, anything you think of, you can write down throughout the activity.
So to start, we have a really important question. What do you guys think is going to happen whenever we mix all of these colors together? What do you think is going to happen? And instead of sharing it, we're going to ask you guys to draw a picture. So maybe draw an empty glass and then draw what you think the colors are going to do. If you think they're going to mix, maybe you're going to draw the colors mixing. If you think they're not, just go ahead and we're going to give you guys a minute to go ahead and draw what you think is going to happen. All right, so now that you guys have gotten a chance to draw what you think is going to happen, we're actually going to go ahead and do the activity.
All right, so I'm going to start off taking our blue, using that as our base.
And we're going to actually, this will be on your information flyer for when you want to do this at home, but the blue actually has the most sugar in it.
Yep. And that one can just be poured in there, but with our other colors, we have to use the syringe.
And I just did it against the glass.
So you're going to prop your syringe up against the glass. You want it against the glass, and then you'll just slowly pour it in.
Go down a little lower with your syringe.
You'll slowly pour it in to the blue.
Now while you guys are watching, I want you guys to stay really still because shaking the table could change what happens in our glass. So if you need to, you can get a little bit, if you want to lean up a little bit, get a little closer. Be really thinking about your senses, thinking about what your eyes are seeing. Okay, and then I just took the cookie. And we want to make sure we get that we get all of the liquid in there because that's what helps make this experiment work.
So I just want you guys to see what happened with, I know it makes a funny noise. I just want you to observe that very first color we added to the blue.
Should I get the phone closer and like take it?
We're going to use,
We gotta be still.
we will use a flashlight to kind of demonstrate. So guys,
Here. Now that you've seen what's happened,
I just want you guys to write this down using your marker and paper that's provided. I just want you to write down your observations about that first layer that we added in. All right, guys, now that you all have written on your paper, I'm gonna go ahead and add in the yellow. So what do y'all think is gonna happen with the yellow? Do you think it's gonna do the same thing as the green? Do you think it's gonna do something different? Go ahead and write that down as well. All right. All right, guys. Oh, there's a little bit more left.
Do this part up too.
All right, guys.
We just have one more color left.
So let's go ahead and show you that yellow layer. Now we're going to add in the red layer. And go ahead and, as you've done for all the other colors, go ahead and make another observation on what you think will happen. And at the end, we'll all be able to discuss our observation throughout this whole process and if our predictions came true or not. All right, so now we have the finished product. And as you can see, each color is perfectly layered on top of each other. All right, guys, so let's just have a brief discussion on what your first predictions and observations were that you made, and how it correlated with our finished product.
What are some things that surprised you guys about this experiment? Were you expecting for the layers, for the colors to make layers, or were you expecting them to mix?
Did anyone's predictions come true? All right, so those were all great observations and predictions you guys made. And it's really cool how some of you guys got to predict what was going to happen and watch that happen. And if you didn't predict that this would happen, it's also really cool to see how these layers were formed and what ended up happening.
Now that we finished this experiment and now that Alexis has shown us how to make the different layers, let's take a couple seconds and look back at your drawings. Go ahead and take a second to look at your drawing and think of your predictions and to look at the observations that you made as Alexis was making the layers. So go ahead and take a few seconds to look over that, and then we're going to talk about it. So now that you've had a chance to look back at what you wrote, does anyone want to share out if their prediction came true? Does anyone want to share out if their prediction was wrong or what surprised them about this experiment? You do not have to share, but just if you want a chance to maybe say, wow, I was really surprised by this. And then one thing we just wanted to highlight about this activity is that one thing we want you guys to see is that different liquids, even though they might be made up of the same things, they can actually have different thicknesses and then can do something like our experiment here, where they don't completely mix into one thing, but they can form layers. And as you guys go throughout elementary school and middle school and high school, you'll start to learn new vocabulary. But this is just an awesome experiment to show you guys just a couple things that, you know, everyday items can come together and make a really cool science experiment. So thank you so much for coming to our science night. We are so glad that you got to come. Alexis and I are so excited that we got to share this with you. And thanks again.